It is time for our featured review. And for that, we're going to the world of Pixar as they release their new release for the year. It is Elio. Todd, you're going to start out with this one. Tell us all about Elio and what you thought.
Okay, Elio is directed by Madeline Sharafian Domishi and Adrian Molina. Domishi is the director of Turning Red, and she gets a couple like up and comers at Pixar to make this movie with her. From the writer of Soul, among like several other collaborators. This is about a boy named Elio, and it's played by Jonas Kibriab, and I don't know if he's like a new actor. No, he's got some stuff that he's done before. But he is this kid who is fighting for attention, and he feels like he has no place in the world. He gets bullied by some other kids. I mean, I guess kind of bullied. He kind of brings it on himself. But he's obsessed with space and with aliens. And after seeing an opportunity to connect with other life forms at his aunt's place of work, his aunt is like a Air Force major.
I think she's in the
Olga.
Space Force, actually.
Space Force, okay. Named Olga, played by Oscar winner Zoe Saldana, who raises him. But he takes the opportunity. He gets abducted by some aliens and is mistaken for the leader of Earth. And there he creates some connections with some aliens. And there's this big slug thing, Lord Grygon, played by Brad Garrett, who is threatening to kind of take over the world with his Metal Gear. And this is another Pixar movie that touches on the imagination of children and the wonder of the worlds they create in their minds and what they project on the world around them. That's sort of the thesis of their entire company, it seems like. Elio he's a fun character. He's kind of fits in the same mold as Andy or Boo or Russell from Up. It's he's like constantly looking for someone who gets him and wants him because he knows that his obsessions are not anyone else's obsessions or quirks from anyone on Earth. There's some creative and cool sets and creatures. The heart of the movie is never truly established because I feel like the movie is just rushed so much. There's no scene that lasts longer than a few seconds. Like the cuts are so quick. It reminded me of Lightyear a little bit in that way because everything is so fast and they don't take a second for the characters to breathe. So you don't really know where any character is truly coming from. So the emotional impact isn't there. It feels a little bit like Coco and how it's structured, but the lack of narrative cohesion reminded me so much of Onward. That's actually a better movie because it's more relatable, but it has something similar going on. I did kind of like that I didn't know who the actors were. Like I couldn't recognize anyone's voice in this. I mean I kind of knew very little about it going in. But my favorite character was Glordon. He's the star of the movie. Even the lesser Pixar movies have that one supporting character that wins everyone over. Glordon and his father are sort of like Frankie Stechino and his father in Boy Meets World. I thought that from the whole time, how they relate to each other. There's a little bit of Where the Wild Things Are in the movie. The title could use some work. Like I think it's just lazy to use the character's name. Like imagine if Inside Out was called Riley. Like I mean, you got to be more creative than that. Elio, nobody's gonna go see this because they don't know what it's about. It's a fine movie. It's got its moments, but it doesn't like do too much to stand out from the pack. It doesn't necessarily feel like Pixar quality. But I've been a big fan of this last era of Pixar, like the last 7 or 8 movies I really liked that nobody else did. This one isn't quite up to that standard. I'm at like a disappointed 2.5 stars.
All right. I'll go next. I'm almost entirely with you, but I'm a little higher on it. I'm gonna go 3 stars. However, with that said, I feel like with Elio, the Pixar set the bar lower than almost any other Pixar movie that they've had out. Like it's just striving to be less than any original Pixar movie. Like the sequels, sometimes you could tell they're just a money grab. They're not really trying to tell an interesting story. But I was thinking like maybe go back to like Good Dinosaur, maybe of the last time that it was just truly not trying to like strive to be that much. I thought a little bit about Onward too. The one that I really thought of, that it's not a Pixar movie, but Over the Moon. It was a 2020 Netflix animated movie that was nominated for Oscar. This reminded me a lot of that. It's got the emotional heart that comes out at the end, but it takes a little while to get there. I like your point about it being really fast, really fast, and not really being able to settle in on anything. It also reminded me a little bit of Strange World, the Disney animated movie that came out a couple years ago. And there's a reason that one didn't really catch on either. So I think there's some good stuff here, but when you're talking Pixar, you want more than good. So I'm giving it 3 stars, and I don't think it was trying to be much more than that. Zach, what'd you think?
Well, I think you guys are off because you're reviewing it as adults. I mean, Todd, you're talking about how the title's lazy, but you don't recognize the voice acting. Terry's talking about Pixar as a brand. Both. If I'm a 6-year-old, I like this movie. It's got colors in it. It's got cute characters. It's got world building. It's got interesting storytelling. Yeah, the story goes fast. Guess what? 6-year-olds are all ADHD at this point. They're all hyperactive. You can't keep a 6-year-old focused on anything long enough because of all the social media and exposure to iPads and shit, right? Right, Terry? Am I right? I mean, I think this was a charming movie. I was won over kind of right away by it. I like the nods to a lot of the sci-fi movies, and that's, again, my adult perspective. But I think there's some nice shout-outs here to Contact and Alien and a few other sci-fi classics. There's enough, I think, to keep adults entertained by the movie. And the movie's really creative. I mean, I think the story unfolds. I can't fully say. I've seen a lot of movies in my life. We all have seen a lot of movies in my life. I can't fully say that I knew where this movie was going. I thought at one point it was going to be like a Stand By Me sort of thing where they go as a group into space. I thought maybe at one point this was about, I mean, I think that the storytelling was really cool in this movie. I guess my criticism of the movie is that you're right. It's not necessarily higher end Pixar, maybe because it's not ambitious. There's a lot of business in the movie. And I needed to go to the bathroom for much of this movie, but I had to hold it in because I knew if I went to the bathroom, I was probably going to miss a lot of shit. I would have come back and suddenly there would have been maybe not space monkeys, but, you know, there would have been some globule pulling off a suit, and there would have been clones in it. And I would have been like, what the hell is going on? By the way, how many clone movies now does that make for 2025? Like 6, 7? I mean, we're at an all-time record here. But no, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was pleasant. It had a very good message about Earth's sustainability, but also relationships on Earth. I think Elio is a charming character who's vaguely autistic. He's probably on the spectrum. And, you know, a lot of kids are these days. That's great. I think that they can associate with him. My criticism, going back to the criticism, it lacks the wonder of a movie like WALL-E, because Todd is absolutely right. It goes by so fast that there's not a lot of space to just pause for a second and realize, yeah, this is a story about the first contact we have with extraterrestrials. And that is, of course, a huge event over the course of human history. It's almost treated as an afterthought. And there's many, many cool elements to the world that is in this movie. For example, the wormhole. I mean, that's obviously lifted from Contact, of course, but that's an interesting element that the movie doesn't really explore that much. I mean, the idea of the travel. There's a fun side character in this movie who has the answer to every single question you could ever imagine. And I would want to know what the meaning of life is, or how the creation of the universe happened. Elio is forced to ask, how do I negotiate with an evil space lord? And to me, that's sort of like a very unambitious question. So where I'm left with this movie is I think 6-year-olds would really like it. I think to some degree adults would like it. I'm curious, Terry, if you saw it with your kid, because I think if I was like your kid's age, or like 9 or 10 years old, I think I would think that the message of the movie about rescuing your friend and building a relationship, I would think that gets a little trite at a certain age. I think that I would much rather be into the Carl Sagan-esque future vision of the future that this, or outer space travel that this movie inhabits, more so than the kind of trite spinning of the wheels about friendship and loyalty and all that stuff. As it is, I'm at a 3 stars. I think it's a good movie. But you're right. It's probably something a little bit left on the table that could have been more.
Well, see,
I did not see it.
The alien stuff we saw in Lightyear and stuff as well. Like, I mean, it's not the first time they've touched on these kind of things. And that one also was similarly kind of pushed aside. I mean, I know you guys weren't fans of that one, like, at all, but I don't really see that much difference between them, other than that this has like a child main character, which is what Pixar specializes in.
I did not see it with my kids. It was just me at the theater. There were a lot of kids in the theater. My screening was almost packed to capacity. Um, yeah, I think as I was watching it, on some level, I think you're right. Like kids are gonna eat this up just because they eat up anything that's kind of
Younger
like this.
kids.
Yeah, but also I think that's kind of what I was getting at too. Is some of what you were saying in that when Pixar is at its best, they make that movie that the younger kids are going to love, and the adults are going to find profound. This was lacking that other part. And even you go through some of the more recent stuff, everything at least is attempting to have that other side to it. Like Elemental, there was a whole nother piece to Elemental.
See, I
Turning
don't think
Red,
Soul was
obviously.
that wasn't a kids movie, really. That was their one that was a
That's
little
a good
different.
point. Yeah, Soul wasn't really a kids movie. Luca, I think, is another one. Maybe you could say this is kind of like Luca in some ways. Onward had a much deeper meaning going on, and it was like Elio. The deeper meaning was like, oh yeah, we should probably give this some heart, and instead of just making a kids movie. And I don't know if it's because I mean, if you look at the credits, there's like 10 different people that had their hands on this script. Maybe it was just trying to piece it all together and make it something coherent. Um, and it kind of nails the ending, and you have fun with it. But like I said, Pixar, you expect so much more, and it didn't even attempt to be more. That's the thing that I find interesting.
I think that's an unfair criticism, even though you and I have the same star rating of it. I think the desired audience, the target demographic for this movie, is going to enjoy this movie, and I don't think they necessarily think in terms of it on a spectrum of if this is better than Inside Out 2, or if this is better than or worse than Elemental. I think the movie stands on its own. I think Domichi is really talented as a filmmaker. I love Turning Red, and storyteller, and I think there's enough in this movie for adults to be satisfied by it. I actually think there are moments of this movie where it seems to be suggesting something a little bit more profound, but there's too much business. WALL-E didn't have business. WALL-E was just a beautiful, simplified story where it makes you question your own existence. And I think it worked for both kids and adults. And again, I'm doing the thing that I'm accusing of you guys of doing. I'm comparing it. But at the same time, regardless of any other Pixar movies, I wish Todd's absolutely right. I wish this movie had just slowed down a little bit, gotten rid of some of the cute side characters, and just focused on the enormity of contact with extraterrestrials, which is cool enough to make its own movie, as we've seen many other examples of.
This movie made 21 million this weekend, which is the lowest, pretty easily the lowest Pixar.
Well, they didn't know what it was about. Todd,
Well,
you're right, Todd.
that's what I was going to say.
Who's Elio?
I know I definitely didn't see a trailer for this movie ever. And
yeah, me neither.
And so I don't know if Pixar has gotten to the point where they're just like, we have a built-in fan base and all we need to do is like advertise on Disney Plus or something, or like on traditional TV. Because I knew almost nothing about this other than that it was a Pixar movie and it was coming out, and I was going to see it because it's a Pixar movie. So I'm part of the built-in audience, but 21 million is disastrous. Like, I mean, Elemental. Yeah, Elemental was even made more than that, and that was considered like one of the worst openings they've had. And that I don't think this is going to have the legs that Elemental does, because like we've been saying, like it doesn't have the adults that are really gonna be passionate about it. This is absolutely a kids movie.
I think what happened here is a little bit of Disney and Pixar trying to be a self-fulfilling prophecy in some ways, because Pixar has said, we're going to stop trying to create original content and rely on our existing IP and just start making sequels, because that's how we know we can make money. And then they put out a movie like Elio, do no advertising for it, make sure that the trailer doesn't get out there at all. No one knows this movie exists or what it's about. And they go, oh, look, our original movie didn't make any money, so I guess that means we have to make Toy Story 5 instead.
Well, no, but their next movie they have had a teaser for after the credits, which is Hoppers, just coming out next year. Right, another original movie. So they're still going to do these original movies, but
I think they're just not relying on them, and they're going to treat them like crap.
Because they know eventually it's going to get watched on Disney Plus by a lot of people. But they're just doing their animators a favor by putting it in theaters, which they don't really need to do anymore.
Well, and because after COVID, they didn't. right? Soul went straight to Disney Plus, and then like Turning Red after COVID was over went straight to Disney Plus. I think Luca
Yeah.
did too. Like it just was like, this is where these movies belong,
Well,
which I think is sad.
we're lucky that this got released in theaters, and I think 21 million. I mean, I don't think they view it as a disaster. I don't think anyone had aspirations of another Inside Out 2 like box office performance from this movie. I'm just glad they didn't shelve it or release it direct to streaming, because you guys are right. I mean, it's not based on existing IP. It's a movie that they probably didn't want to put a lot of money into the promotion for. It's honestly a movie kind of maybe for people like us. I mean, I said it was a movie for kids, but honestly, I didn't see a lot of kids in the theater. Theatrical windows are not how Disney and Pixar make their money anymore. So maybe it's a niche movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, Todd, I think you got a point that the movies like this, the original movies, might not have much time left in theaters, or they're just remembering, hey, set the bar lower on this, and if we get a hit, be pleasantly surprised.
But I guess I would say do something experimental. Don't give me the bullshit kids movie. Let's make a PG-13 Pixar movie. Let's try for something like Boy and the Heron. That's a little bit more like adult, cutting edge, maybe a little darker. Maybe go back to like the Black Cauldron era of Disney in the 1980s and try something experimental and different. Because honestly, if the box office revenues don't really matter that much, if everything's already accounted for, why not try to do something artistically risk-taking? But I'm not an advisor to Pixar, but maybe they're watching, maybe they're fans of the podcast. They can buy our merch online. That's my 2 cents, Pixar.
You can't buy the merch online.
Really?
Not yet.
Darn it.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
VIP.
That was a one-time
VIP
private
only.
thing just for us. I don't know. I would love to. I'd love to see a movie like this get a little more legs than it was able to get, but that's just how it goes right now. So 3 stars for me and Zach on Elio. Todd gave it 2.5. It's in theaters. In like 2 weeks, it'll be on Disney Plus. Probably a little more than 2 weeks, but it'll be on Disney Plus soon.
I mean, it's possible it could do an elemental thing, I guess, because that one I think opened at 30 million and ended up making almost 200 million, right? Like it like didn't drop for like a month. So it's possible, but I just don't see the passion for this movie.